All right, welcome to the first lesson in the second chapter of the Video for Entrepreneurs course, and that is video gear. So we're going to be looking at the tools and equipment that you're going to be using to create great videos. Now, a couple of expectations. The first is that you do have a decent budget, so not a tiny budget and not no budget, because the suggestions I'm going to be sharing with you and the things we're going to be going over are gear that you're going to potentially have to purchase, and they're not always cheap. Again, this is a Video for Entrepreneurs course, and so the expectation is that you are willing to invest in this area of your business in order to help it grow your business. And the second thing is that you've got some kind of semi-permanent recording space. It doesn't need to be a full-on studio, it doesn't need to be a full-on office, but you've got some place that you can sit down and work, that you already sit down and work every day, that you are going to be able to adapt into a place you can record. We are not going to be looking at creating some separate sort of studio away from where you work. I'm just going to be talking about basically how you can adapt your office into a mini recording studio. So let's start with the most obvious thing, I think, and that is the camera. So the two key things I want you to take away from this are that webcams suck. So the default webcams that have been in computers for a long time, they're terrible. They are getting better. The new MacBooks have better and better webcams, and I'm sure the new Windows-based PCs are also getting better. But up until about 2020, the default webcam in most computers was rubbish. So the default webcam maybe in 5 years is going to be probably incredible, but where we're at the moment, the default webcams are bad. And this also extends to the sort of the very low end of external webcams, basic USB webcams. Most of the time, they're not great quality. I don't know how Logitech kind of conned the world into thinking that their entry-level webcams are worth buying at all. I suppose they're handy if you have a monitor that you need to attach it because your laptop is closed and you can't use the default one there, but they're not great. So we are going to be looking at getting a proper camera. So the proper cameras that we're going to talk about, and I'd suggest there's three of them. And there's three because, well, you can't really ignore how good an iPhone is, and with Apple's new continuity camera feature, it makes it a perfect low-budget contender. If you've already got an iPhone, one of the newer models, and you've got a newer MacBook, then you'll just be able to use your iPhone using the continuity camera feature as a webcam. So when it detects that you're using a bit of video software that has a webcam input, then it'll suggest that you use your iPhone as the camera. And the quality is amazing. It's as good as any video that you would take on your iPhone, or if you had a FaceTime call or something like that, and suddenly you're getting it beamed straight into your computer wirelessly, which is awesome. So this is the best starting point if you've got this. The downside is that you basically need to take your iPhone out of service and set it up as a camera. And if you like using your phone a lot and don't want to have to set it up and take it back down again, then that can be a bit of a downside. Then we've got two proper cameras. Both of them are Sony. Sony has built up a bit of a reputation for being kind of the industry standard when it comes to adapting mirrorless cameras like these are to use as webcams. Lots of gaming streamers and YouTubers swear by these Sony mirrorless cameras for their setups, and that's what I'm going to be suggesting today. So this middle one, the A6400, is kind of a middle of the road mid-range camera. You can record in up to 4K in this, 60 frames per second. It's pretty good build quality, and I think it cost around $700 to $800. They used to have a cheaper version of this, which is what I'm actually using, called the Sony A5100, and I think that's been discontinued. But that one couldn't shoot up to 4K. It could only do up to 1080, but it only cost a few $100s, I think, maybe $300 or $400, I'm thinking. But it's incredible for this use. I'm soon going to be upgrading to a Sony A6400, so I'll know just how great it is. But lots of people use this, and it comes highly recommended. The Sony A7 is basically going to the top of the line. This is a professional camera that people use to make films and do professional photography on. It's a really, really good mirrorless camera, and more professional streamers and YouTubers and creators are using this as their go-to webcam. So they have this permanently set up as a camera like I have right now. It's the top of the line. This is not going to be something that you're going to buy and then need to replace in a couple years' time unless something dramatic changes in the way video gets captured. So these are the options I would suggest. Again, you know, if you don't have an iPhone, then every single one of these is a bit of an investment. But if you're looking for a cheap option, then the iPhone is a great one. You just have to figure out the best way to have it set up as a camera when you need to film. Now, there are a couple of other things to mention when we're talking about cameras. These are some extra bits of equipment that you might need to think about. The first is a capture card or a cam link, which is kind of the popular model by a company called Elgato. Now, a cam link basically takes the HDMI signal out of your camera and turns it into a USB, and so you can just plug that into your computer. When you purchase one of these cameras, or at least some of the earlier models, like the model I'm using, you couldn't just plug that straight into your computer. You need a capture card like this to convert the signal to a USB that your computer can then interpret as a webcam. But that's all you need. These cost, I think, around between $60 and $100, which seems expensive for a USB, but it's a real workhorse, and a lot of people recommend it. I think some of the newer models of Sony cameras, you can avoid needing that, and you can just plug the camera directly into your computer, which is cool. And I suspect newer models will just move to that now that they know that this way of using their cameras is becoming more and more popular. But I think, again, like, these cameras come from a photography and film world, and now they're realizing that lots of people are using them for this kind of use case, and so they'll be adapting them to work for those use cases a bit better. The next thing is a lens, and you're probably like, why the hell would I get a lens when these things have big lenses? But there's one really great thing that getting an extra lens is good for, is that you can get this really nice depth of field. So you can see that my face is in focus, but behind me has this nice natural blur. And sure, you can do that with some software and tools like that, but nothing really beats the natural look of a really good lens. So if you want this, you can upgrade your lens. There is a lens made by a maker called Sigma, which is a Japanese brand, that works really well with Sony cameras. It's a big lens, and it is at a pretty good price point. It still costs quite a lot of money, but relative to other lenses of that size, it's a really good option. There's an endless amount of lenses that you could use if you want to upgrade to this, but if you want to get this kind of look, or even better, then think about upgrading from the default lens, which won't kind of give you the same kind of depth of field and this kind of like nice blur in the background. And then lastly, a tripod or some kind of way of mounting your camera. These things can't just be set up like this and then sit on your desk or anything else really. You need to have them mounted to something. So I've got a full set of kind of arms that I can connect various devices to, like this microphone and the camera, and that's what my camera is attached to. You could just get a basic tripod and have that perched on your desk. If you're using your iPhone, the iPhone option, then you can get a tripod like this that has like a little kind of iPhone mount here, and then you can just stick that on your desk and then set your camera up however you like. Nice thing about this is you can pack this and you can move it around your desk to find a good spot. It's pretty adjustable. There's lots of brands that do models of this and tons of stuff on Amazon at a pretty good price if you're going to go with the iPhone option. The iPhone option is also really good if you don't have a permanent place to record. So whenever I go away on holiday or work overseas or something in an Airbnb, I'll just take this and my iPhone, and that's going to be the way that I can record nice high quality video. So yeah, you'll need a tripod for either of those options. Now the last thing which I realized I've forgotten to put in the slide here is when you use cameras like these, you will need to get a dummy battery, which is where you swap the default battery for a battery that goes into the battery pack, and it has a cable that comes out of it that you can plug into the wall. And the reason you need this is because otherwise you're running these on battery power, and that's only going to last like a few hours maybe. And if you're filming a lot of video and you're using this as your default camera for video calls and things like that, then you're probably going to want to have never-ending power. So a dummy battery is another thing worth adding on here. Not essential, you can just start recording without it, you just have to charge the battery every now and then. So moving on to microphone. Now, people can tolerate a bad picture, but they can't tolerate bad sound. People just have a much greater aversion to things that sound bad because there's almost like a physical response when you hear bad sound or glitches in the sound or anything that kind of annoys you like that. It's a much more kind of visceral annoyance. Whereas if the picture is a bit low quality or fuzzy or hard to see, you can still kind of watch through it. So fixing your sound and investing in your sound is really important for the overall look and feel of your videos. And so we're going to talk about two options today. The first is kind of the entry level that I would recommend here, which is the Blue Yeti. This is a microphone that you can just attach via USB. You can stick it on your desk. It's got a really nice stand and the sound is really good. There's different sound modes on the back, so you can change it so that it just captures the sound directly from the way you're speaking. You can make it so that it can capture sound from all the way around it. It's got a bunch of nice settings for that. This is kind of an entry-level thing, and the quality's pretty good, and you can pick them up for like $60 to $100, I think. And there's also a newer model. I'm not sure how much better that is than this one, and that goes for maybe up to $150, I think. But yeah, super easy to use, plug and play, good quality, and some nice settings on there. Now, if you really want to go crazy, then and you have the budget, then you can try out the Shure SM7B, which is kind of getting a reputation as the gold standard for podcasting and YouTube videos. If you watched any kind of like video podcast, you've probably seen people with a setup like this with the microphone in their face or near their face, and they'll probably be using a Shure SM7B. And the reason so many people use these and are quite comfortable with them up in their face is that the sound is really, really good. And I've recently just upgraded to this, and I can tell you that it is really, really good. The downside is that they're really, really expensive. So the microphone itself costs about $400, which is not too crazy. But the problem is that it uses a special type of cable called an XLR cable, and that's for plugging into professional audio equipment, not into a computer. So to actually get it connected to your computer and running nicely, you need to get some extra gear. So that's where the extra slide comes in. So these first three things, audio interface, preamp, and XLR cables, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail, you need these in order just to use this thing. So it's not just going to be $400 that you need to spend in order to get this microphone, but you're going to have to spend a bit more. So if you are like, look, I'm not really here to break the bank, I just want a good microphone, get to the Blue Yeti, and then you can skip what I'm about to say now. But if you do want to invest in this, let me tell you a little bit more about this stuff. So an audio interface is basically a way for you to connect your XLR cable that your microphone, your SM7B microphone has, and then be able to connect the sound from that into the computer. And so you need this interface to plug into there, and then you get like a USB-C that can connect from the audio interface, which is this red thing, into your computer. So then you have the sound coming through. But doesn't end there yet, because the sound that comes out of this naturally is extremely quiet. It's really, really quiet. And so then you have to turn the gain way up on the audio interface, but then to be able to talk this far away from your microphone with the gain all the way up, you get a horrible sound and lots of background noise and hissing, and it's just not good. So when that happens, you're like, what have I just bought? I thought I was buying a really nice microphone. So what you need is a preamp. And I've got this one here, which is a cloud lifter. And what this does is it automatically boosts the gain of your microphone in a very clean way. And you basically plug your microphone into the cloud lifter, and then you plug it again into the audio interface, and then it magically sounds incredible. So you almost just need to get these two things and a few XLR cables to get this thing working, but once you do that, it sounds great. So to save you the mission that I went through, where I bought sort of some of this and then other parts of this, if you're going to do this, just get this all at once. Get these two and the microphone and 2 XLR cables, and you should be good to go. Lastly, yeah, you're going to need a boom or a stand. If you pick the Blue Yeti, you don't really need to worry about that because it has a stand that comes with it by default. If you get the Shure microphone, you're going to need to get either a stand that you can put on your desk and kind of like have that pointed at your mouth, or get it attached to some kind of boom like this so that you can kind of move it around and have it in the right position. With these microphones, you do need them pretty close to your voice. I tend to not be close enough because I'm moving around a lot, but the sound can be still pretty good. The closer you get, the better the sound's going to be. Lighting. So lighting is next. Now, lighting is really important because you are going to be needing to record videos day and night. And if you don't have good lighting, recording videos at night is almost impossible. They're going to look terrible. You're going to think it's going to be fine, and then you're going to look back at it after you've recorded it, and it's going to look like you're sort of recording from a cave. So you're going to need to get a really good light that's going to help you record in dark conditions. And what I would suggest is getting a softbox, which might seem insane. You might think, Grant, you're just losing me now, all this crazy professional equipment. But if you can get one of these for pretty cheap, for 50 bucks, even less maybe. And if you can find a good place to set this up, and you can just switch it on, and it's going to illuminate you all day, all night, and you're going to be able to record videos comfortably any time of day. And you're going to be able to take calls looking like you're not trapped in some kind of dark cave somewhere. So get a softbox. It doesn't really matter which. The entry-level ones are still going to do the job. If you want to go crazy, you can look at investing in more and getting more lights to set up. But one of these at the minimum will really help you have a nicely illuminated, softly illuminated space. So I have one right here, and it just nicely illuminates everything here. I don't really have to worry about being in a dark room. If I switch this off right now, I would kind of disappear from the camera. It'd be impossible to see me. Okay, that is all the gear that we're covering in this lesson. Camera, microphone, lighting. Those are the kind of the essentials. Hopefully I've given you enough options for you to go crazy if you want to go and really invest in this. It's fun to nerd out on this if you've got a bit of a budget. And again, if you are working on these videos, creating these videos for work, then it's worth investing in these because they will help your business. If you're trying to do it on the cheap and don't have the money to invest in it, hopefully there's been at least some tips or some free or cheaper options that you can try out. If you are just looking for the baseline, I would say try and record with your iPhone, get a Blue Yeti, and grab some lamps from around your house and see if you can hack together a lighting setup with that. I'll see you in the next lesson where we look at setting up your recording space, your studio.